अस्सलामुअलैकुम दोस्तों, उम्मीद करता हूँ सब दोस्त खैर वाफिस होंगे। आप देख रहे हैं मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल मज़हर खान ब्लॉगर। तो आज हम आपको दोहा मुशर्रफ डाउनटाउन में मैंड्रीना होटल का विज़िट करवाएंगे, जहाँ पे है यूएस सेमिनार। तो यूएस सेमिनार की भी कुछ झलकियाँ आपको दिखाएंगे ताकि आप लोग भी हमारी तरह उससे मुस्तफ़िद हो सकें।
So this is the general process again. This is how this whole process has been done for about 4 years. You file your application, you wait about 2 years, get processed at the embassy, get your green card. Ultimately get approval and then go to the US. Now there's a revolutionary method that's been introduced when the changes occurred recently, whereby you can file your application if you have a visit visa to the US. By virtue of filing your application, you can then move to the US. And then we would do your documentation while you remain in the US, including your work authorization and the rest of your papers, so that you can have some of those benefits of the green card while you wait for the green card to be processed. That's a method called concurrent filing. And then another big important topic that was introduced with the changes that occurred was a lot more government oversight on the regional centers. These are groups, the government pre-approved groups that host projects for you to invest in. Now they have to, they're required a lot more transparency in that they have to provide more reporting. There is an integrity fund now set up in Washington, D.C., where you have government officers that fly out to review and view these projects. So there's a host of new initiatives that were brought on recently to help bring better structure and integrity to the U.S. Golden Visa program. And so we invite these, and ultimately they are a benefit to investors such as yourself. So here's the thing. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I moved to Dubai about 11 years ago. I didn't have friends or family in Dubai. I just had this idea. So I used to work in the US. I was raised in the US. I used to work in creating these investment products for foreigners such as yourself to invest in. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to go abroad and educate other people about the US Golden Visa program, because not that many people know about it. Okay. So when I moved to Dubai about 11 years ago, I started doing this. And I noticed one thing about my clients coming from the GCC specifically. Okay. I would say about 85% of them, if not more, are doing this for the future benefit of their kids or legacy long-term planning. And there's a lot of value that you will unlock when it comes to education. And I want to spend a few minutes talking about that. So myself, when we moved to the US many years ago, I was quite young. We were on the Golden Visa, or essentially the green card, which is what you're here for. And so primary school, middle school, high school, my parents were not out of pocket for any educational expenses, as that is covered by the US government. It was a wonderful springboard for me to then continue on to some of the better universities and continue my education. When I went to UCLA, which was my school of choice in Los Angeles, back then my tuition was dramatically less than international kids. Okay, so when you are going as an international student, you're paying full rate. There are no bursaries, there are no credits or anything like that. So when you are a US person, you are then given a lower tuition amount, and even that lower tuition amount, you are covered by the US government in regards to tuition, housing, books, transportation, costs associated with being a student. So there's a national policy in the US. So every student is guaranteed Okay, so we will be your active guides from. Okay, so the question was, if we're looking at this timeline, how come this says 2 years, but what I'm saying is a little bit different in terms of the concurrent filings, where you can file now and move now. So this is the traditional way of doing it. This is not. There was a lot of changes that occurred. So remember, the program was introduced